Good morning. Some of you, we know each other already. We went on a boat cruise together yesterday. But for those who missed the cruise, my name is Briggs Bomba. I serve as the Director of Programs at Trust Africa, but I stand before you as the Chair of the Program Committee for the 6th African Philanthropy Conference. It's a fantastic thing that we are here. It's been a long journey. A lot of people have put a lot of work into this. So please, let's give ourselves a big hand for just making it to Cairo at this particular moment. And let's give a big hand to Tawaso for grounding us in creativity, in arts, in culture, in tradition. I don't think they hear you. They deserve a much bigger hand, especially the kids. Fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic. We are going to take a few minutes just to ground ourselves, continuing from the blessing that we got from Tawaso. So we'll ask you to do something a little bit unexpected. We want to ground ourselves now in connection. So I want to invite you to look at someone that you did not know or you did not come with. So you're not all from Star Ghana or from Waxy or from Trust Africa or from, you didn't come together. Quickly, please actually, stand up and go and meet someone, introduce yourself. And as you introduce yourself, there's an invitation. Listen, this is the invitation. One second. Introduce yourself. Please try and meet 3 people. You have less than a minute to do this, but introduce yourself, someone you've never met. About exploring this theme of sustainable resourcing for transformative change on our continent. And we cannot do it if we maintain silos. We can only do it when we connect, when we build relationships, when we are one with each other. So thank you for taking that time. And let's maintain it. Even during our tea breaks, our lunch breaks, try and meet someone that you've never met before. So fantastic. Thank you for that. Just a couple of things. So I said I am standing here as the program chair of the 6th African Philanthropy Conference. We have a fantastic facilitator for our conference, and I'm going to bring her up just now. But before she comes up, I want to also correct what you're seeing on your program, that Madam Kumba Toure, who will come up here to continue with the grounding, is showing up as a chair of the board for Trust Africa, but as a leader for our space. So not exactly as Africans Rising as we are seeing here. So some of these legacies and stories follow us everywhere we go. But I wanted to broaden it so that colleagues are very much aware. She's showing up as our leader, speaking, a leader from our space. Equally, Prof. Becky Moyo, we all know him as Kapsi, but he will be showing up here as the chair of the 6th African Philanthropy Conference. So not as Kapsi, but as the chair of the 6th African Philanthropy Conference. But without much further ado, please help me welcome Nozipho Chabalala, who is our conference facilitator. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Briggs. I fear I might be a bit too short for this very big podium, so I'm going to take my rightful place in the center of stage and say, ladies and gentlemen, salam alaikum. Maharba na Cairo. Welcome to Cairo. My name is Nozipho Chabalala. What an absolute privilege. What an absolute pleasure it is to be on an APC stage once again. What an absolute privilege it is to be back in Cairo once again and to carry today's conversations tomorrow and the next day under the theme of sustainable financing for development in the majority world. I'd like to extend a special welcome to everybody who's joining us online. So if you're in the room and you're in Cairo, I'm going to ask you to give us a round of applause that's actually above your heads so that all the cameras in the room can capture the energy and the welcome that we're extending to our online audience. Let's give them a big round of applause, please. Thank you so very much. Before I hand over to Madame Kumba, I'd like to just make a few housekeeping announcements that is going to make sure that we have an optimal experience. So the first thing that we're going to do, and I don't know if you've noticed, I've just done it, is to slow down because we've got simultaneous interpretation, and I know that the interpreters need me to give them a chance. So if you're on stage, please remember that as well. But of course, if you're not on stage and you need a headset, we are translating into Arabic, into Portuguese, into French, and into English. In order to access a headset, we ask that you provide any form of ID, anything that you have that can identify you to the technical team at the back, and they will make sure that we stay connected and in conversation together as Briggs has invited us to do. I'd like to bring to your attention that the program for today is on the QR code, which is on the back of your badge. However, if you would prefer to access it on the website, you just go to the AfricanPhilanthropyConference.com website, which we've all been accessing, and you can get all the program updates as they happen there. In terms of the facilities, the ladies and the gents, through those main doors, but also just outside in the motels, through these doors as well, and also close to our breakout rooms. We are going to keep everybody hydrated. Waters are going to be available at every tea break. We've got an open tea and coffee station running throughout the day, just outside of the auditorium, so you are more than welcome to please help yourself. I just met somebody really fascinating. So, Briggs, thank you for the invitation to connect. His name is Henny, and he is in that corner of the room. Henny, can you give us a wave, please? Big wave, Henny. Thank you so much. So, Henny is an artist who is capturing different characters of whoever decides to have this moment captured not only just in a photograph, but in something that they get to take home and say, I was at the 6th APC conference in Cairo. I've had a sneak peek at what he's doing there, and I can tell you that at the first available opportunity, I'm going to be standing in line waiting to get my character done. Now, I think I've got one more announcement before I hand over to Madame Toure, and that is to please extend a very, very big welcome to and an invitation to all of you to please join us for the annual Lifetime Achievement Awards Gala Dinner, which is taking place this evening. At the end of the day, I'm going to give you more announcements on the logistics, but in essence, for this moment, to let you know that we are looking forward to seeing you at 7:30 tonight to do what we do best as Africans, and that is to break bread together. And so, without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to welcome, and I think, Briggs, you said it beautifully, our leader. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Madame Kumba Toure. Let's give her a big round of applause. Welcome, Madame.
Thank you. I'll need a mic. I think I'll take one of those.
Oh, fantastic.
Greetings. Is there anybody in the room? Greetings. All right. Thank you and welcome. That's all I have to say for today. In Wolof, we say nangadef, and we respond mangi fi rek. I am here. We say, how are you? And you respond, I am here. And I want to say, we are here. Here in Egypt. And this is the place for me, and I think for many of us, where we reclaim our humanity. As Africans, we have been told long time ago by even great philosophers like Hegel that we were not human, that we were not part of humanity. And it did justify a lot of things that happened to us, because to be able to enslave us, to exploit us, it was necessary intellectually to deny our humanity to be able to do certain things. But with work, with research, people like Sheikh Anta Diop, people like Chancellor Williams, Teofilo Benga, Aikwe Arma, told us, showed us, demonstrated for us that we are African, we are creative people, we are intellectuals, we are scientists, we are philosophers, we are deeply human. And to be human, for me, is to be capable of caring. It is to be capable of giving. And it is the opposite of stealing, of brute force. We are together here in Egypt. And in a way, this conference about African philanthropy, to me, is another step of showing the world the ways of being deeply human. So thank you for being here, for also putting or adding our little piece and our little stone in the building of our shared humanity. Thank you. I do not want to be long. I am just happy to be here, and I thank every single body and organization, institution that made it possible for us to gather here, to this privilege of being together, to think together, and build together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Madame Kumba. Thank you very much for the reminder that as we take our place in these seats and bring our voices into conversation, we are doing that with the intention of adding our stone to the ascending order of things, adding our voice and our stewardship so that we may contribute to showing the way towards reclaiming our humanity. Can we give her a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure now to welcome onto the podium to lead the welcoming session, the official opening session, the chair of the 6th African Philanthropy Conference. Please, won't you please help me welcome Professor Bheki Moyo onto stage.
Good morning. Is it working? Okay, thank you so much. And as introduced, I'm standing here as the chair of the 6th Philanthropy Conference, and I've welcomed everyone in the booklet where we talk about the significance of the 6th African Philanthropy Conference and what it represents for us in the journey that we have traveled since 2019. So this is really at a place where we are beginning to reflect, but also begin setting agendas for the future. And so I wanted to just start by that and saying that we are very thankful that everyone is here. We also know that some of you faced a couple of logistical challenges. I want to, on behalf of the committee, on behalf of the partners, send our apologies to some of you who might have struggled getting through the airport or finding transport to come here. as you might understand, there's just so many moving pieces, and so it's not an excuse, but I wanted to strictly just send apologies in advance. So I want to use this opportunity to call on stage the partners, some of the partners, not everyone, that have been leading this process to welcome us. So let me call each of the speakers to come and join us here so that it makes it easier for us to just speak from here. So let me call Ebrima Sal, head of the of Trust Africa, to come up through. I think it's easier if you come. Let me call Professor Maurice Khatebe, who is the head of the business school at Wits University. Thank you, Steph. Let me call Ali Amu, who is the director of the Gerhard Center here at the University of Cairo, who is also our host. And then finally, let me call the representative of the Ministry of Social Solidarity, Government of Egypt, to come up as well. As speakers are getting ready to come up here, we are running a bit out of time, so we had asked that to keep it short, at least 5 minutes or so to do the welcoming remarks. I also want to refer everyone to the site, to the program, but also to the booklet, the conference booklet. There's a code of conduct in the booklet that we really want you to read, abide by. Let's try and make everybody feel safe in the spaces during this time of the conference. And if anything does happen, please be free to approach any of us, the organizers, but also the logistics team that is seated by the registration desk. So do let us aware, but we really ask everyone to stick to that code of conduct, please. Thank you so much. Let me invite Ebrima Sal to come and give his opening remarks. Ebrima, you can come and do so. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. We are here, you're told. I want to recognize and salute everyone present here in the room, the representative of the government of Egypt from the Ministry of Social Solidarity. We thank you for honoring us with your presence. I want to thank the AUC, the American University in Cairo, for hosting us, Ali and the team, and the provost was with us 2 days ago when we were beginning the academic sessions. I want to recognize and thank Leila Eskander, from former minister, several ministries, culture, environment in Egypt, did a great work, and we really are happy and honored to have you with us here. I want to also recognize all the distinguished partners here. There are a number of former ministers with us also, former deputy, including a deputy prime minister of Zimbabwe, Professor Mutambara, who will be giving a keynote speech. Recognize and thank our partners. Professor Maurice from Wits University is here with us. I want to recognize and salute my own board members. We've had our leader, board chair, Kumbature, and all the others who are in the room here, Dr. Jane, Dr. Mukabele, Anna Matsika, Professor Hakim Ben Hamouda, and all of them. Thank and recognize the members of the board of Orient Action Fund who also join us, and all the members of the collective who are organizing this. Yesterday, just to continue the significance of being here on that particular theme, yesterday we were out on the Nile, and which I was sitting with Professor Maurice in a conversation. After one time he got up and said, "Hey, this is the Nile." And we said, "Yes, this is the Nile." And the Nile is many things. I'm sure he'll come back to that theme. But the Nile is not only the longest river on the continent, but it's also where a lot of things that are significant to us, Muslims, Christians, people of other religions, it is about Moses, It's about Joseph. It's about so many things. It connects the continent. You know, it goes through so many countries, the blue and the white, converging and then arriving here in Egypt. But Egypt is also many other things, you know. It is in this place that one finds one of the 3 oldest universities in the world, okay? The Azhar University. The other 2 are the Karawin in Morocco and the Zaytuna in Tunisia. It is the country and the city as well, Cairo, where we find the largest African university, and that's the University of Cairo. Right? The largest university with contact students and contact activities. The UNISA, of course, is about the same numbers, but UNISA is a distance learning institution in part. Egypt is, I think Kumba has reminded us of how significant it has been in just the history of humanity and in the civilization, the great civilization. We see, when we came in, we had the pictures of the pyramids, a reminder of really how great the civilization has been. This was science at its best, right? It is still there, resisting all the elements over so many years, and nothing is happening to them. But it's also a place of learning. We know that Greek philosophers used to come to Egypt to learn from the Egyptians. This is documented. And so there is a lot that for us is significant in just coming here and reconnecting with this. And we are making a statement by coming here. For us, Africa is one. It's a continent, okay? It is not sub-Saharan or separated, the MENA and the rest. Africa is a continent. And the founding fathers and mothers of the Organization of African Unity and of regional organizations demonstrated that in so many different ways, not only by creating organizations, but also by establishing family ties across the continent. Famous one, of course, is Kwame Nkrumah and Gamal Nasser. Kwame Nkrumah, president of Ghana, reaching out to Nasser just to say, I want an Egyptian wife. And they worked it out. Right? Beautiful. And so it just said the bonds of friendship are very strong. And if philanthropy has anything to do, philanthropy being defined, among other things, as the love for humanity. If philanthropy is to be meaningful, philanthropy should, in this world that is more and more chaotic, that is where the fragmentation is increasing by the day and by the minute. We are here, and just a few hundreds of kilometers from here, some of the most dramatic things in human history are going on, right? I'm talking about Palestine. So if philanthropy has something to contribute, I think philanthropy has to connect with these traditions that are deep. So it's an opportunity also for me to not only welcome our funding partners who have been supporting our work, but also who are here with us. A number of foundations are present, at very, very senior levels, and some of them are participating in panels and leading talks and conversations. But Egypt has been also the home of African liberation movements. Okay, during the time of Nasser, we had a great professor called Helmi Sharawi, who was the Africa desk person in the time of Nasser. You visit Sharawi's house until today, he shows you this seat where people like Mandela, Samora Machel, Amilcar Cabral, Augustino Neto, all of them he would welcome in his house after the formal meetings. So it was the home of African liberation movements as well. And we think that tradition needs to be kept alive, and it's a tradition that is very, very important because of the values that go with it. The theme of this conference is sustainable financing for development in the majority world, which connects with all the conversations that are already going on. That began some time ago already. Last year in New York, we had the Summit of the Future, where under the auspices of the United Nations, the global community came together to think about ways of now not only having particular goals, whether you call them millennium goals or sustainable goals, but just ways of not having specific goals, but thinking about the relationships and what binds humanity together and binds humanity with its environment and the planet together and have a pact that is very solid. And so in that context, one of the things that have been happening recently is how the financial issues have been not only central, but they have been disruptive in so many different ways. They have been the channels and the mechanisms through which the most terrible of inequalities have been reproduced, perpetuated. And so there is a lot to do in terms of how to reorganize the global financial architecture. It was subject of discussion just a few weeks ago in Sevilla, where the fourth Financing for Development conference was held. So, and that is the theme that we have chosen for this philanthropic, for this edition of the APC. Every time we have it, we choose a topic, a theme for it that speaks to what we feel are the critical issues for philanthropy and for our continent at the time at which we are having it. And this time we thought this theme connects very well with that. And of course, we are going to explore the theme in so many different ways. And it's not narrowly focusing on finance, but it's locating finance in the much, much more complex and comprehensive world of all the kinds of relationships that there are. We'll be talking about IT, we'll be talking about technologies, we'll be talking about the climate issues, we'll be talking about governance issues and so on. But talking about finance, some of the issues that came up in the Sevilla conversation had to do with the current disruptions, the trade wars that we are witnessing, and how they're impacting on development and sustainability. We are talking about taxation, how it continues to be a vehicle for transferring resources, in unjust ways. And we are talking about how that could be turned around to make it a way of redressing some of the imbalances that exist. And part of the governance architecture, we have our friends from the taxation network who are here who will be talking about that in detail. There are still major gaps in the financing of the SDGs, to talk about them. We know that we have huge needs to finance the transformation of our economies, the construction of infrastructure that is very critical for African development. And we know also that we don't really have to follow the linear path of development. Some kind of a linear path of development. We have to have, different ways of approaching the development issues, on terms that work very much for us. But it's also a time when we know that multilateralism is in serious crisis, when there are huge challenges that we are grappling with, having to do with, the debt that people are carrying, governments are carrying, and so on. And so, in this conference, we'll be exploring different things, new sources of funding, alternative ways of dealing with development finance. We'll be hearing interesting initiatives, some of which we are launched. Professor Farrell here, among others, will be talking about new initiatives they are launching to deal with this particular thing. And the conference began already with the academic conference that we had yesterday and the day before. The academic conference, as a reminder, is a way of consolidating the intellectual foundations of this initiative and of the philanthropic community itself as a whole. It's now the third or fourth time we are organizing it, and every time we do it, one sees the value of it, because we also have to reproduce the community of thinkers, about philanthropy, and cultivate thinking about philanthropy from where we are, from our own histories and from our own context. And so this is a conference that we are convinced will be instructive, interesting, and we are seeing it as a moment of not only coming together, but also of maybe looking at how we've been approaching issues, but also how we can continue to work together in an important way. And one of the things that will be happening is something we started last year. Some of the funders who are present in the room come together also to think about how to work better with not only the partners, but in this space, to support some of the issues we are going to discuss that we think are important. I want to also thank my programs director, who I'm very proud to see doing this excellent job of being the director of the program of this conference. They have not been sleeping for I don't know how long, working night and day with the team, from the rest of the team from Trust Africa, IT and all of them, Ogo, Rugiatu, but also with all the partners to make sure that we got an excellent program. Thanks, Briggs. This was a great job. I think you need to deserve the effort. We have an excellent facilitator. You've heard her. You've heard Nozipo. We heard her last year. We thought you don't get a facilitator like that and just do one conference with them. You would take her along whenever you can do that. And thanks again one more time to everyone. And we'll be celebrating also some of the best that we did so much in the development of philanthropy on the continent. And that's what the gala dinner we'll also be doing. It's not only about a gala dinner, it's also an award ceremony that we'll be having this evening, where we will be recognizing one of our own and just acknowledging the contributions they've made to philanthropy over the years. We will keep the name until we get to the stage where you will discover who it is, and you will agree with us that it's another good choice. We've had a couple of them already in previous years. So thanks again a lot, and yeah, all the best.
Thank you so much, Ebrima, and I echo the same sentiments in terms of the spirit of the conference, but also the efforts that have been put by different teams, by the different committees, different partners and organizations. We are going to give proper thanks as we go through the program. At this point in time, let me invite Professor Maurice Radebe, who is the head of the Wits Business School at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. This is where CAPSI is actually located. And so CAPSI is within the business school, located at the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management. And so Prof. Morris is the head of school, and there are 5 schools within the faculty. And so, Prof., over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to Peggy. I call him a leading driver, a pioneer in the whole African philosophy movement. I think he's contributed significantly. He's one of the significant contributors to this movement. So we greatly appreciate your contribution. That's the reason I come here and sit the whole conference, because the work you're doing is just amazing. We are very proud of you, and we will be there to support you all the time. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let me also acknowledge quite a few people. My friend Ebrima, we spent a lot of time together yesterday in the car with where's Professor Adam Matambara here? Yeah, so we know each other for a long time, 25 years. So it's really great to always work with you. Representative of the institution here, the AEUC, we really thank you for the opportunity to host this event here. The Ministry of Social Solidarity, Government of Egypt, thank you very much for being here also. Also like to acknowledge my friend and brother, Brian, from OSFS. He taught me yesterday you must always add S, you know. And it's very important. It's very good to have you. And obviously, Brex is doing his live energy here. He's giving all of us here. I've seen in the audience our stalwart of our liberation movements. This Sbongile Mkabela. No, she's not hiding. No, you can't hide, especially when I'm here, because when we were growing up, we held you in high esteem, and you were an inspiration to us. And finally, I think Nozipo is always, let's give her a round of applause. So I can say now, all protocol observed, partners, co-conveners, distinguished delegates, it is really an honor and privilege for me to address you this morning on behalf of Wits Business School. Now I immediately move this, okay. Wits Business School is really proud to be the home of CAPSI. CAPSI standing for Center for African Philanthropy and Social Investment. Some people wonder, why do you have social investment and philanthropy located in a business school? We believe that it is a right place to be, because at the business school we need to train business leaders that actually have got a heart, have got a sense of consciousness, and not also just driving profits, but understand that the communities in which they operate is very important. So CAPS has made remarkable progress in the past few years in helping to establish philanthropy in Africa as a formal area of research. Our master's degree and postgraduate diploma in African philosophy are the first academic programs of their kind in the continent. Through extensive research, KEPSI has made a deep inroads into an area that for generations was misunderstood and even underreported. Along with our partners across the continent, we're building a new generation of experts, researchers. I'm very proud of the fact that we've got a program of partners of 17 universities in the continent where we are working with them to research this major problem of youth unemployment and how we can actually create decent jobs. And I attended the academic conference at the beginning of this conference before this one. It was very illuminating. I can see some of the speakers that were there. It's really great work that you're doing. Let's give them, the academics, a round of applause, because you need academic theory to back up practice. And I like this, that we start with academic theory, and now we're having this conference on practice. So what we are actually talking about here is that these researchers and change makers promoting social change through a powerful combination of knowledge and networks. So as a business school, we are of course focused on providing management education and leadership for future business leaders. However, what really matters to us is the person behind the qualification. You may have an MBA, but MBA is really not important. It's you behind that MBA, you as a human being. Madam Tor is talking about being a human, how they see their role in building an equitable and inclusive society. This focus on impact is reflected on our mission as a business school, which is to graduate ethical, I want to emphasize ethical, and agile. These are very important qualities in our continent because the world is changing so fast. I was speaking with Mutambara saying he's lecturing on AI, and every 3 days he's going to change his sets of slides because the presentation is already obsolete in 3 days' time. So the agility is very important, but these leaders must be a force for positive change. Business schools are accused for many, many years having produced business leaders that have got no clue what their decisions have an impact on environment, on society, on everything that we do. And we want to change that. In order to achieve this, we've developed all these areas of critical sustainable development of our continent and our world. And these areas in our business schools, energy leadership. We know that energy makes the world goes round, and it's so important in our continent. Entrepreneurship. We want to make sure that our young people not just go through this schooling system hoping that there will be job seekers, but we want them to be job creators. Corporate governance, I don't have to talk about that in our continent. We need it so desperately. And African philanthropy. Only a month ago, we launched at the Wits Mervyn King Center for Corporate Governance and Sustainability at Wits Business School. Many of you will know the name Mervyn King if you've been in corporate life. The author of groundbreaking King Codes of Corporate Governance. These codes have revolutionized governance structures around the world, shifting the focus from profit to purpose. From profit to purpose. From the whole idea of stakeholder, from an idea of a shareholder to a stakeholder. It's very important when you're running a business. Having run businesses in my life for the last 3 decades, this shift is so fundamental. When you are a CEO and you're running a company, it's so important. It's paradigm shifting. This center will ensure that the principles of ethics, sustainability, and conscious leadership are infused in all our programs at WBS with a view to having an impact far beyond the confines of the classroom. Wits Business School will continue to seek other ways in which we can ensure that the leaders of tomorrow lead with purpose. We're big on purpose, and we're focusing on sustainability goals, United Nations, 17 of them. And every time I speak to the young students, I ask them, have you read the sustainability goals? And most of them at the beginning of the day, they don't even have a clue what I'm talking about. I say, that's your first assignment. Go and understand each one and read them one by one. And then the second part of the assignment is choose 1 or 2 where you'll dedicate your professional life in achieving that goal, because we're far behind in achieving those goals. So this KEPS is helping us with this. purpose and integrity. To achieve this, we will continue to be inspired by KEPSI, which is a shining example of how an academic institution can have a life-changing impact on the ground, where it really matters, not in the elite places of academic halls or in the boardrooms, but on the ground, against the backdrop of massive and seemingly random changes which happen every day. The world is spinning around because changes happen all the time. Particularly in this area of aid and funding, we've seen massive changing happening there. This conference could not have come at a better time. So 2025 is our time to re-emerge out of this conference as masters of our own destiny, to converge as a collective force to determine new and sustainable ways to fund our own projects, our own programs, and our own initiatives, armed with our own knowledge and deep understanding of our context. I'm excited for the next few days as we, passionate Pan-Africanists gathered here, thought leaders, activists, academics, advocates for change, determine what the next era in development finance in Africa will look like. Many, many times, people from outside define it for us. But it is our season and our moment, and let's not lose this opportunity. Again, I'd like to thank the American University in Cairo for hosting this important conference. I also want to acknowledge all our conference partners. I will be amiss if I don't mention them: African Philanthropy Forum, Africa Philanthropy Network, East Africa Philanthropy Network, Southern Africa Trust, and Trust Africa. Let's give them a round of applause. Finally, Peggy, thank you very much, and your team. I know you've been working so hard. Most of the members of your team are here. They've spent sleepless nights to pull this conference together. Again, you've done a wonderful job. And the highlight for me was cruising on the Nile. That was great. I've never danced like that for a very long time. That showed how excited I was. Thank you very much, Peggy.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that Prof says the highlight was the Nile, because last year he said the highlight was the Zambezi at the Victoria Falls. So it means every year there has to be an elevation of the highlights. I also wanted to take this opportunity, because Prof started talking fondly about the school and the work that we do, to say that actually we offer academic training. The CAPSI is not just a center that does research. We also teach PhDs, masters, postgraduate diplomas. And so I'm using this opportunity to advertise. In the event you want to study, please come study with us. You might have seen that in the academic conference, and maybe still here, we had a huge contingent of students who are doing their masters or PhDs. The majority of them are already in practice, but they are also studying, doing their degrees with us. And so this is an opportunity and invitation to study. There are so many other universities that offer something similar, but we think if you came to us, you will benefit the most. That is not taking away from AUC. So I want to use the opportunity to now invite our host, Professor Ali Amni, to come and give his own welcoming remarks, but I will also ask him before he sits down to also do us the honors of introducing our guest of honor from the ministry. And Ali did explain in the beginning of the academic conference how we actually came and landed up hosting the conference here in Cairo, and I'm sure he's going to speak to that. So please, Ali, come through.
Hello, everyone. I need to start first by welcoming you to the AUC, Gerard Center, and to Cairo and to Egypt. There is nothing that raises your adrenaline as much as the beat of a drum and seeing beautiful kids performing. It's amazing. I think I'll have to say that Yasmin Abu Yusuf have done a great job with those guys. Her initiative is called Tawasul. Tawasul means in Arabic communication. Communication is a two-way street. Don't you ever think that you just cannot communicate with them. They want to communicate with you. And guess what? They have a lot to say. Yasmin is one of the rare people who actually walk the talk. So talk to her. She has lots of things, lots of things to learn from. Now, I've said that on last Sunday. For me, one of the motives of hosting this conference is that I think Egypt is African. Your first exercise in decolonizing is to think as Africa, as the whole continent, not just sub-Saharan Africa. And I mean, Ibrahima could tell you more about the history of Egypt versus Africa. We're really one. We're really one. And in this type of work, with all the geopolitics that is around us, that puts more stress in acting together. Now, the interesting thing also in being in a conference like that is that we learn a lot from each other. We have similar problems, similar issues. I personally, yes, I could go to the US, I could go to Europe and get some ideas. But if I want to check ideas that have been tested on the ground, it's either Africa or India or China to some extent. So we learn from each other. We've tried to put many things around. The guest speaker will talk about, for example, she's a major authority about circular economy in Egypt, not in Sweden. If you talk about Sweden, this is a different planet for us. But we need to sort of learn from each other. We need to talk with others. And I want you to understand also that solutions to our problems would require a portfolio of solutions that involves many diverse players. I mean, business schools are core, yes. But so are people with sociology, anthropology, community psychology. They all can add. It's a hard problem. And because it's a hard problem, it requires, there is no one solution that's going to solve it. It's a portfolio of solutions. So it requires an orchestra of talents to be able to solve it. That puts more stress on us to cooperate. And I tell you, one of the major reasons we have failed thus far is that we tend to think piecemeal, and we tend to think very much in specific verticals. It's hard, it's horizontal. Everybody has to play a role. I just want to reflect on one thing before I introduce our guest speaker. The title is very intriguing. If you talk about decolonizing, you want to develop, you really have to have your own agenda. Your own agenda. And this own agenda has to be coming from your own. It reflects your needs, your narrative, your moral code, your culture. And then you'll have to be able to finance it. Because if you just have an agenda and it's not implementable, or you don't try to implement it, it's an exercise in futility. You really have to be able to finance it. And for me, this is the intriguing part of the title. I always like to mention a title of a book by Amartya Sen. He talks about development as freedom. That's a book. If you're not developed, which means you don't have your own agenda, you can implement your own agenda, you finance your own agenda, you do not have your freedom. When you talk about the global scene right now, there are many bullies. I'm not going to refer to names, but I think you can guess what I'm referring to. And we need to be able to circumvent this. And the only way is to be developed. And the only way is to think of South-South solutions. Now, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Medhat Abdel Rashid. Medhat is the advisor for the Minister of Social Solidarity for Socio-Economic Development. We've used them a lot. I mean, he comes graciously to our offices and we discuss with him the ecosystem. There are very few people who can talk about ecosystem, by the way. I mean, most of the people I see, they think about projects, they do. Medhat is one of the few people who can talk about a total ecosystem. And he recognizes the shortcomings of what he's trying to do. He recognizes that sometimes we do, but he recognizes, I'm not doing enough. And for that, I really respect him. And it takes me, can I introduce him in? Medhat, please.
Good morning. I hope all of you are happy being in Cairo as much as I was being in African countries. I'm positively biased to 2 countries that I have visited. I have been in Kenya twice, and I was crossing, yes. It was amazing 2 visits, and I went to Nairobi, Kitale, Wamunyu, Merika. I had a lot of sites to visit, and lately I was very happy being in Rwanda. So these are the pleasure we feel, or I feel, every time I visit any African countries. So hope you are all happy in Cairo, and hope to see you again. Now, I represent the Ministry of Social Solidarity today, so please allow me to carry the greetings and best wishes of Her Excellency, the Minister of Social Solidarity, and the whole team from the ministry. I survived and managed to be here today. All of them are really quite busy. And I had a couple of minutes to think about the words that I could say. And as usually happens, the pressure hits hard, pressure of talking, because I always thought that talking is a huge responsibility. And I always ask myself, what could be worth to be said, especially in such a gathering? So the first thought that came to my mind was thinking of the conference as the game break, when all the players meet at the changing room with the whole team, with the coach. What they do in these few minutes is discussing, reflecting, analyzing, thinking of everything to make the next game or the second part of the game better. And I believe we are much luckier to have a whole week to discuss, analyze, and so on, to make the coming is better. So I hope we are here for that, and I hope we can get to there. And to get to there, I may do something, may play the traffic guy who can just point the way for you. And from my place, I was a practitioner in the field of development for the 15 years before I joined the Ministry of Social Solidarity 5 years ago. So I was in both sides. And every time I face a challenge, I remember myself pointing at the government or at any others saying, why can't they just fix that? It's so easy. They just need to do that and this. But when you go backstage, when you go inside, you figure, oh, it's like being here. You can see the whole stage. And it's the case with me. It was really, I feel blessed being in both sides. I feel blessed having this vision or this sight that allows you to see the whole thing. And if I will carry one thing, if I will point one thing, is the fear I had of the gap between all the efforts we are doing and the ones we are doing these efforts to. Every time I hear our colleagues from any place, either national NGOs, either UN agencies, either other government bodies, I feel the fear of how far we can go without engaging, without taking the ones we are serving or working for with us. So if I will point one thing is we can do all what it takes, but if we miss the ones we are working for, I don't believe we will reach something real. So again, I hope every one of you enjoying his stay. I hope, and I'm excited to wait for the results of this conference. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to end by saying there was an omission to recognize Marwa, who is the board member for Trust Africa, Tawanda, Jane, and many others, but also that Ali serves on the advisory board of CAPS, and so the two of them have been the link for us to Egypt, but also to North Africa generally. Last night at the welcome dinner, there were 3 partners that were called on to give their welcome remarks. They had not arrived. They will have an opportunity during the course of the conference to also greet you. So it's Stigmata Tenga, who is sitting there from the Africa Philanthropy Network. Evans Okinyi, I don't think he has arrived yet. And Mosun Layodi, I haven't seen here. So at some point, they will also be called upon to make their greetings. I also want to end also by recognizing some of the local partners that we worked with here, the Sawiris Foundation, who are also going to be running a special session on Thursday. The Arab Foundations Forum, who I think they've also sent some representatives to come to the conference. So the conference, Your Excellencies, is declared open. I hand over now to our facilitator. Thank you.